Let's talk two-star pitchers and sleeper hitters up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Friday, April 19th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White, and we'll start things off our Week 5 preview with fringy two-star pitchers. Should we start or sit these names? Michael King is at Colorado and home against the Phillies.
Well, I might have hedged on this if he wasn't just coming off the start he's coming off of, which was a dominant outing, his best of the season. At Colorado is a little scary, but 2 starts. I think you got to roll with King.
Zach Littell home against the Tigers and at the White Sox.
Yeah, with those 2 matchups, I think Littell is pretty close to a must.
Brady Singer home against the Blue Jays at the Tigers.
Like those matchups too for Singer. Skeptical of the pitcher overall, but I'm recommending him this week.
Hunter Green has been Hunter Green. He's home against the Phillies and at the Rangers.
So tough matchups, obviously, but he might give you 15, 16, maybe even more strikeouts, even despite those matchups. So in most cases, you're going to want to start Hunter Green. If you're protecting ERA and WHIP, it's a little early, I think, to worry about that. But if you are, then maybe you shy away from him.
He might give you as many earned runs as strikeouts next week. That is Hunter Green.
Possible.
Carlos Rodon is home against the A's and at the Brewers.
Yeah, so really good matchups, and it's 2 starts, but I just don't trust Rodon anymore. So obviously fine doing it in points leagues, but I don't know that I could bring myself to do it in a categories league.
Paul Blackburn at the Yankees and at the Orioles.
No.
Jose Quintana at the Giants and home against the Cardinals.
Also no.
And Keaton Winn, who is apparently 12th in Stuff Plus this year, is home against the Mets and home against the Pirates.
Yeah, he leans heavily on that splitter. So I don't think he's going to dominate or anything, but those are decent matchups, and I could see using him in a points league.
2-star pitchers to add and stream that are rostered in less than 80% of leagues. Who are they?
Mm-hmm. Just sneaking under here is Cristopher Sanchez. So it's probably the last time he'll get a mention here, because I suspect he's about to take off. Obviously, his last start was really good. At Cincinnati, at San Diego, you could ask for better matchups than that, I guess. But I think you got to start Cristopher Sanchez. And Michael Wacha, I like him a lot too. He gets the Blue Jays and the Tigers, also favorable matchups. A nice high floor pitcher for you in a 2-start week. Brandon Pfaadt at St. Louis, at Seattle, like those matchups, 2 starts. Hit or miss pitcher. Might only use Pfaadt in points leagues, but I think he's a nice play in that format. These last 3 here, Lance Lynn, Trevor Rogers, Andrew Abbott. All of them are making 2 starts. Their matchups are okay. In fact, Andrew Abbott's matchups might even be bad versus Philadelphia at Texas. But they're making 2 starts, and they're usually pretty decent. You know, they're going to go long enough to give you a quality start potentially. So I think in points leagues, if you're just looking to maximize volume, Lance Lynn, Trevor Rogers, Andrew Abbott, not thrilled to start them, but they're startable.
If you miss out on the 2-star pitchers, 4 single start streamers for next week. Gavin Stone at the Nationals, Jack Flaherty at Tampa Bay, Edward Cabrera versus the Nationals, and John Gray at home against the Mariners. Best hitter matchups for next week, the Yankees, Padres, Red Sox, Orioles, and Twins. The worst hitter matchups, White Sox, D-backs, Dodgers, Phillies, and the Nationals. Scott, who are your sleeper hitters for Week 5?
All right, let's take advantage of this full week of home games for the Rockies. Ezekiel Tovar is batting nearly 500 there. Charlie Blackmon was must start whenever the Rockies were at home last year. I think they're both good plays. You mentioned the Orioles have the 4th best hitter matchups. They also have 3 lefties on the schedule. Ryan Mountcastle crushes lefties. He's off to a good start. I'm kind of surprised he's available enough to mention here, but I like Ryan Mountcastle a lot. The Yankees having the most favorable matchups. Anthony Rizzo. Hopefully this is the week he breaks out. I think he's a fine choice. If you want to go a little deeper, Alex Verdugo, Oswaldo Cabrera, couple of lighter hitters, but they're capable of doing damage in a week with matchups as good as the Yankees have this week. Brian De La Cruz has been hot, and the Marlins are scheduled to face 4 lefties in their 6 games. His numbers are especially good against lefties, so he's a good play. Let's see. Ryan Jeffers, if you're looking for a catcher. The Twins, as you mentioned, have the 5th best hitter matchups, and then Sal Frelick here, just because I think he's undervalued, and the Brewers matchups are decent enough, 7 games at least. And Jurickson Profar. Don't love him overall, but the Padres have the 2nd best matchups, 4-game series at Colorado. You could do worse than Jurickson Profar this week.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Odyssey app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.